Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak on an important current topic which is going on nowadays on Palestine and misconceptions. And thank you for such a extensive introduction. In fact, you reminded me a lot of things which I had forgotten. So you just let me know, you reminded me what are the things that I have done in my life. Because I believe in whatever you do, and then you leave it and march forward. Well, in any case, thank you very much. Now, your topic is very good. Topic is that misconceptions and the Palestine. I think I will start with this very word, which has been floated that, Israel was created in the land of Palestine only because the Jews were being prosecuted and persecuted in Europe and other parts by the Nazis and others. It is not correct. I will give a brief history and then I will go back and come out in the latest events, and will tell you that what are the misconceptions which need to be removed. First of all, it was in say 1897 that the first Zionist Congress held its meeting in a city called Basel in Switzerland. This was the first time. And remember, 1897, when there was no Nazis, when there was no Hitler, and there was no question of any persecution of Jews and Nazis. And they decided to have a country of their own for Jews. Herzl was the person who was behind this idea. Now, after that, they started locating that which place should they have their land, their country. So what they did was that they sent their own people, some of the Jews, they sent it to various areas to find out which is the best area where they can form and they can establish their country. Out of the proposed areas, and this, say, initial in the 19th century or the early 20th century, end of 19th century and early 20th century. There was no Nazis, as I told you earlier, and there was no Hitler or no persecution or nothing against the Jews at that time. So they sent groups to various continents. Out of that, they thought that they should have, and they should try to find out in Uganda whether they can establish their own state. So one group was sent to Uganda. Another was Argentina in South America. That can we have in South America, in Argentina, a state called Israel? Another was sent to Chile. That can we have a state called Israel and can we establish it in Chile? And another was sent to the, at that time, Ottoman Empire, Osmaniyat, the Sultanate, it was about to decline, and the First World War was on the steps, on the doors. And Turks, or the Ottoman Empire, was called the sick of Europe, the sick man of Europe, because they were very, very weak. So they sent one group to Palestine to find out whether they can establish there or not. And this was in 1903, after the Congress. This group of Jews went in the garb of Christian missionaries. They did not go as Jews. They went, they had the dresses of the Christian missionary and went to Palestine as if they are going for, to perform their pious duty and to perform their, visits to the holy churches. That was the idea behind. so that nobody should detect them why they are coming. So they toured around the whole Palestine, and after reaching Haifa, the gentleman who was the head of the delegation, he wrote a telegram, a cipher telegram, a coded telegram, which read, "The bride is beautiful, but married to another man." It was, "The bride is beautiful, but married to another man." It means it's a beautiful country and beautiful area, but it is being ruled, it is being, controlled by another man, by the man who does not deserve it. That was the idea behind it. And at that time, they decided to have their eyes, and they put their eyes on Palestine in order to see that how they start entering into Palestine and they start establishing their state. So it started in 1903 and 1904, much before the Nazis, as I said earlier. Now, when it was learned at that time, the leader of Palestinian people at that time, he was Haji Al-Haj Amin Al-Husseini, who at that time was the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa, and the land of Palestine. He is called Mufti Al-Quds wa Dayar Palestine. Mufti Al-Quds wa Dayar Palestine. So he was Amin Al-Husseini, Al-Haj Amin. He took the whole thing in his hand, and he started, resisting about the attempts by the Jews of Europe to come, by the Ashkenazis to come in groups and work out. But they continued. At that time, Indian Muslims were also very, very concerned, because Al-Haj Amin al-Husseini was in a very close relationship with Maulana Muhammad Ali Jawhar, who at that time was heading the Khilafat movement. So Maulana Muhammad Ali Jawhar and Maulana Shaukat Ali, the Ali brothers, they both joined hands with Amin al-Husseini, the Grand Mufti, and started a movement against the Jews coming into Palestine. Can you believe at that time in India, Maulana Muhammad Ali Jawhar and others, along with Gandhi ji, because they had taken the Gandhi ji also, Congress had also joined Khilafat movement. At that time, Indians had collected somewhere around 300 British pounds, and to help the Palestinians continue establishing their schools, colleges, and strengthen their infrastructure at that time. So it is not a new story which are being told in a new narration that, Israel should be there, it's a Jewish state and all those things. No, their eyes were from 1897 onwards on this very land. History, if repeated, has to be short, as it is said. So I do not want to prolong in that. What I want to say is that the idea behind was to usurp the land of Palestine. And a misconception what they gave to the Europeans was that it's a land without people. Means Palestinians are very less in number, and it's a huge land. So there is no harm in giving part of this land to us. The third misconception was that they started spreading in Europe that the Palestinians are selling land to us and we are buying it, that is why it is our country, or this is our place, which was also wrong. There were certain people, no doubt about it, that who were selling the land to the Jews, not as the Jews, but as a business. But as soon as Indians came to know, there was a fatwa issued by Indian Maulvis. And this fatwa said that any Palestinian who will send the land to any Jew from Europe who is migrating to Israel or migrating to the so-called country which they want to make, he will not be buried, and he should not be buried in the land of Palestine. That kind of a fatwa was issued by India. So Indians have a very close linkages with the solidarity with the Palestinians right from that time when Israel was not even created. Now we come to the creation of Israel in 1948 after our independence, when Israel created its own uh, its own country. At that time, Mahatma Gandhi himself had said, he said that I cannot accept throwing out the people from their own land. Palestine belonged to Palestinians exactly like Germany belongs to Germans and England belonged to Britishers. The Palestine is a land of Palestinians. He spoke very openly about that. But as you know, the world, particularly Europeans, they wanted to get rid of the Jews because they were of the view that Jews has destroyed our economy. Let them go. That was the covert ideology of Europeans, that let them go, leave our land, do whatever they want to go out of Europe. So this is what exactly they did. And they established in 1956, when there was no Arab army, basically because Ottoman Empire was ruling. So there were no regular Arab armies. There were some volunteers, there were some mujahideen. In the name of mujahideen, they formed, some groups to fight the attempts of the, Jews to come into Israel, but they could not succeed because they were only the volunteers, whereas the Israelis who were coming, the Ashkenazis who were coming, they were the people who were part of the Second World War, who were either colonels in the Second World War in the British Army, or they were the captains in the Allied Army, and they had come and they had entered into Palestine and usurped that in 1948. From 1948 till 1967, they continued controlling and strengthening their presence in that very area until the 1967 came. In 1967, Arabs thought, because there were lots and lots of Palestinian refugees who had gone out after 1948. Nobody knows that there are about 500,000 Palestinian refugees in Chile. 500,000 Palestinians are living in Chile. What we know is the Palestinian refugees living in Jordan or living in Lebanon or living in Syria. But no, there are millions and hundreds of thousands who are living either in Chile or in Brazil or in South American countries. Nobody is aware about that. Well, whatever has happened. So these people, they left. Now, Arabs wanted to take revenge of their defeat and wanted that those refugees to go back. But Israel, with the support of Europe, and as all of us know, that it had become a power in that very area, so they suddenly attacked. It was called preemptive attack. And before Arabs can take any decision, they destroyed the whole of the army, the air force, and continued controlling further areas. And further areas are from, they took it from Syria, from Lebanon, from Jordan. That is, the West Bank was with Jordan. Gaza was at that time with Egypt. All these areas they controlled, and they reached up to Barlev Line, up to Suez Canal. Also, do you know that till date Israel has no map? Israel has no official map. Israeli have not told to the whole world that where their borders are lying. Only because their policy is of expansion and continuing expansion. And Europeans were very happy because they planted a country in the heart of the Arab world. I don't know how many of you have seen the map of the old Palestine, now the Israel. My video is off. Means uh, where is that? My face is off. Okay. Is it okay? Okay, I'm sorry. I think there must be something. So You don't know that where is the they don't, nobody knows that where is their borders. They have not yet defined. As a result of which, the Arabs, they were totally under pressure from their own citizens, from their nations, that what we had lost in 1948, more than that we lost in 1966, 67. And then there is a history. In 1973, there was a war. Egyptians were able to get back their own land. Israelis, Syrians were able to get some parts and some portion of the Golan Heights. And rest is a history that they entered into agreement. Egypt entered into agreement, and there were some peace accords between certain people. Now, from 1967 till 1980, PLO was declared by the whole world as a terrorist organization, exactly like today Hamas is being declared. Anyone, any organization which wanted to resist the occupation, which wanted to go back and get their own land back, it was branded by Europeans and by others and by many narratives as the terrorist organizations. So they never said that they are the liberation forces. Palestine Liberation Organization also, they were always of the view that this is a terrorist organization. Whenever they whenever they took any action, it was always declared as a terrorist organization. I will come back. I think I have about half an hour, isn't it more? If I'm right, I have half an hour more. I was told that I was told 45 minutes, so I have half an hour. Yes, so I have half an hour more. So after the 73 war and after 1982, again there was a war in Beirut, in Lebanon, where Moshe Dayan had entered, Ariel Sharon had entered inside Lebanon and had even besieged Lebanon in 1982. It was a huge fight, and that was basically against the PLO. Somehow, the Palestinians have always aspired to be free. So they just wanted to free their land. Now, way back after 1982, many European countries thought that this is continuing for long. Let us sit together, join together, and let us have some kind of a peace, and let us have two-state solution. So they involved in secret negotiations with PLO. It was in Oslo. Arafat, who had emerged as the leader of the Palestinians, he and his organization, they were actually invited by Oslo, and there were talks, and in those talks there was a decision was taken, and they had entered into an agreement for peace against the two-state solution. It's a history. And once the agreement was signed, it was being implemented, but again, the Zionists, the extreme rightists, they did not agree to give Palestinian anything. So they continued prolonging until they ensured that those two gentlemen who had entered into an agreement for a two-state solution and resolved the whole issue for eternity, for the good of the humanity, and make a two-state solution, they were given Nobel Prize because of that. Jointly, Arafat and the Israeli Prime Minister was shot dead by the extremist Zionist Jew. And as it is said, even Arafat was poisoned. So the Nobel Prize winners were also killed because they wanted to bring peace. So the factual position is that misconception that there is no peace because Palestinians do not want, this is not true. The truthful is that Palestinians have been going and sitting on the negotiating table. They have been talking regularly that let us talk, let us sit. There was Oslo Accord. Afterwards, there was Madrid conference. Afterwards, there was quartet was made. Afterwards, a roadmap was made, but nothing happened. Roads are still in the hands of Israelis and Jews, and the map only is in the hands of the Palestinians. Nothing is coming out of that. So there is a frustration. Now, after that, they realize that since the world is also talking now about this two-state solution, so they have to create some kind of an issue in order to see that the West keeps quiet on this very issue. So what they did was they said that we will talk to you only when you will hold the elections, because we are for the democracy. Now we recognize Yasser Arafat as the president and we recognize PLO as the government, but you must hold the elections, and after holding the elections we will recognize you as a government and then we will talk to you. Arafat did not agree. Arafat did not agree because Arafat knew that Hamas is not a part of PLO. And if I am holding elections, then I have to take Hamas. And once Hamas becomes a part of the election process, then the negotiation, and Hamas had not accepted Israel. So once the negotiations are going on, these negotiations will be stalled. So Arafat did not agree, and he continued ruling and he continued talking to them. He continued telling them that, look, we have signed the agreement and now you must continue, you must have this two-state solution, which the president or the prime minister or the defense minister of Israel, they did not at all agree. The first election, Arafat was killed, as it is said by the Palestinians. I have no proof for that, but everyone in Europe, everyone in the peace-loving people, in revolutionary people, or the Palestinian, they say that he was killed by poison, whatever it was. After that, Mahmoud Abbas took over. President Mahmoud Abbas is a Gandhian. He is a person who follows Gandhi principles. So he continued talking about peace, peace without any violence, peace, peace without any violence. He also agreed on election. Arafat was not agreeing, but he agreed. He said, "Koi baat nahi, we will have the election." But once the elections were made, Hamas won the majority. Now became a problem. And this is what they wanted to create. Arafat did not agree because he didn't want to create this divide. But Abbas did not realize that this will be a divide and it will widen. So when Hamas won with majority, at that time, Israel and its associates said, no, it is a terrorist organization, so we are not going to talk. Finish. So this is how they entrap, because they are not interested. They are interested in keeping the area as an occupied territory. They are not interested even in taking Israel or making West Bank and Gaza Strip a part of Israel. There are many people who say that please make West Bank and Gaza Strip part of Israel. We are very happy. Why they say? Because there are today 2.5 million Palestinians in Gaza. There are 3.5 million Palestinians in West Bank. In all, there are 6 millions only in West Bank and Gaza. Then you have around 1.5 million people, Palestinians, living inside Israel of 1948. While Israel called them Israeli Arabs, but they are Palestinians. So it is 7.5 million people inside Israel. And the total of population of Israel, according to Israel, is 6.5 million. So what happens? That if 7.5 million people, if they make West Bank and Gaza Strip as a part of Israel, then the total number of Palestinians will be 7.5 million against 5 to 5.5 million Jews. It means Palestinians will be in majority. And once Palestinians will be in majority, they will be ruling the country. So they do not want to make West Bank as a part of Israel, nor do they want to make Gaza as a part of Israel, because they know that the problem will be over and Palestinians will start ruling. So this is the crux of the issue, which many people do not know. Now what they want is, they want all the resources of the Palestinian. Dekhiye, all the water resources which goes to Israel are from the West Bank. The soil is so perfect, is so good, is so much green. What all fruits and what all the goods they get it from Israel only, from Palestine only, from occupied territory. They just mark it made in Israel and they sell it. So the benefits they are getting from West Bank is huge. So they do not want to make it a part of Israel. They do not want to annex it. At the same time, they want to keep it as an occupied territory and controlling and closing the whole area. Now, what they say to the whole world, anyone, they say, if you are supporting Palestinians, you are anti-Semitic. It's another narrative. I'm concentrating only, I'm not giving you a history. I'm telling you because the topic was, misconception. So that is what I'm saying. That, that if you are supporting Palestinians, then you are anti-Semites. How can they be anti-Semites? Because it is basically an issue of colonization. It's an issue of a usurper. It's an issue of a colonial, of a person, occupier and occupied. What Israel has tried to do is, they created a smoke screen saying it is a fight between Muslims and Christians. And that is why they are taking Europe with them. But it is not true. Because it is only a colonial aspiration. It is an issue of colonials and colonized people. It is an issue of occupiers and occupied people, because those who are occupied are not only Muslims. There is a huge Christian population of Palestinians. The topmost sacred places or sacred churches on earth are only in occupied Palestine, are in the West Bank. And also the Jews. The Palestinian Jews are still living in Palestine. They do not go. They say that Israel is not for us, because this only the Ashkenazi Jews, the Jews who came from Europe, that is their area, not we, because for them we are the second-class citizens. Nobody knows, perhaps, I don't know whether you people are aware that there is one member of parliament in the Palestinian parliament who is a Jew. Palestinian Jew, they are there. So to say, to spread this word, so it has to be debunked, because it is not an Islamic issue. Islamic issue only because there is an Al-Aqsa mosque. That is why Muslims are sympathetic. Muslims have their emotions and sentimental links, have religious respect, because it is their first Qibla. It's only Al-Aqsa. But what about the rest? The rest is not Islamic area. The rest is an Arab area, it is a Christian area, it is a Muslim area, it is a Jewish area. But they are spreading as if it is Islam, Muslims and Jews. So this is what they are giving to the whole world. This misconception which has to be debunked. This is not true. And as I said, Palestine was a land without people. How can it be without a people? When they said and when they established their own land. From where these, millions of refugees have come if there was a land without people? There are today around 7 to 8 million Palestinians outside Palestine as refugees. And there are 10 million inside the Palestine in occupied territories and 1948 Israel. So you have 17 to 18 million Palestinian refugees. 18 million is a huge number. There are so many countries in Europe which do not have more than 3 million or 4 million population or 5 million population. If you see Malta is a country with only around, I think, 450,000 or 600,000 people. So it is not like this that, 17 million is a huge number. And they are spread all over the world. And they are very educated, well educated. And they were the first who introduced democracy in the Arab world because they held democratic elections, which Europe did not accept, which Israel did not accept, which America did not accept. And they talk about democracy. The first democracy was introduced by Palestinians only. When they elected, Hamas under the pressure of Israel and the pressure of European countries, European Union and the United States. The Palestinians do not want peace. What more do you want? They were sitting in negotiating tables. Every time they proceeded, Palestinians readily agreed to sit. But if you say that you agree on our terms, nobody will agree. You come to my house with a power and huge power in your own hand, and you say that this whole house is mine. I will give you only a small room, sit there, sign on the agreement, otherwise I will not allow you. The man said that I have the 300 room mansion and you are giving me only a servant quarter. And that too, you say they negotiate with me and I tell you, in this room, which corner can you sit and which corner you cannot sit. Gaza, what is Gaza? Gaza is like a cage of a bird or a parrot. You have 2.3 million people in one of the most densely populated area in the world. And from all the sides, you have locked them, you have closed them. Whenever you want, you just bomb them. Whenever you want, you close, you cut off their air, you cut off their electricity, you cut off their water, you cut off their food, whenever you want. So you cannot allow them to go out. Even from the border from Egypt, they cannot go out. First, according to the agreement, when they want to go out, they will submit the request to the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority will give it to the Israelis. Israelis will issue the permission, yes, he can go out and he can come in. Otherwise, they say he can go out, but he will not be allowed to come in. It means another refugee. Today, what is happening in Israel, in Gaza is this. Why people are not going out? They can, it's totally closed. So they can run to Egypt. But they are afraid. Once they go to Egypt, crossing the border, Israel will not allow them to come back. They will be refugees, leaving their own house. This is what is the problem. And, for us or for many people, we think, I'm talking about generally, it is an issue which is a distance issue. It's an issue which is far off. It doesn't have any concern. But it's not true. Today, the world is a global village. Each issue and every issue concerns us. Economically, whatever is happening in Israel will impact India economically also. We have huge cooperation on so many fields with Israel. Our companies are there, they are working with them. Our people are working with them. Our IT companies are there. There is a, diamond industry is quite deep, in that. So if the war is impacting economy of Israel, it's impacting indirectly on our economy also. So, the problem is big, and I don't think it will be resolved so soon. Let me tell you very honestly. Second thing is they feel that, if the world feels, United States and Europeans feel that they will forget, Palestinian will forget their aspirations under pressure from our side or under the threat from our side, they are wrong. It is 73 years, 75 years, and Palestinians are carrying their aspirations on their shoulders, and they are continuing, and they will continue. Yesterday, it was PLO, which was a terrorist organization, declared terrorist organizations. After entering into agreement, they become darling of the Americans and Europeans because they agreed on whatever they wanted. So Islamic Jihad became the enemy. Once Islamic Jihad became part of the PLO, or they moderated their stand, then the Hamas became. So PLO will go, Hamas will go, Islamic Jihad will go, some other organization will come up. They may destroy Hamas today, but believe me, the freedom-loving people, aspiration-loving people, who have lost their homes, who have lost their families, who have nothing behind them, they will come with some other name, and with some other name they will try to organize their own organization, and again there will be a fight. So the world has to see that to resolve it, there had been many proposals from the Islamic world. There had been the OIC proposal, which was adopted by the Arab League. It was called the Arab Peace Initiative. It was, King Fahd initiative, King Abdullah initiative, which was in Beirut summit, was adopted, which every country, every Arab country say that, we will open our offices, we will have our relations, but you give and you make two-state solution, withdraw from 1967 territory. But they do not do it. So they may be going, they may think that they may have, look, many people know, many of us know that all the Arab countries or the Islamic countries have their relations with Israel. Yes, they have. But these relations are neither diplomatic relations, nor political relations, nor economic relations. These relations are only intelligence sharing and security. Every country has concerns for security, whether it is India, whether it is Bangladesh, whether it is Russia, whether it is America. Do you know that during the Cold War period, Cold War era, was there no coordination between Americans and the Soviet Union, the then Soviet Union, on security issues? There was. So there never remains the two countries. In fact, they like to have their contact with the enemy. They like to have contact with the enemy to know what all is happening in the world. So there are security arrangements, security agreements, security interest of all the countries. Suddenly you will find that Iran, one day Iran has relations. Yes, Iran had purchased even the arms and ammunition and weapons after the Islamic Revolution from Israel, because it was in the interest. At that time, they were fighting Iraq and they needed. And once they needed, they bought it. It was in their interest. They say that Saudi Arabia has got relations with Israel. Yes, but they have only security relations to know that which country is working against them. And they coordinate. There is a coordination. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, every country. But then that India had no relations, with Israel like from 1948. We had. But diplomatic relations were not there. Economic relations were not there. But the security relations are important. This is in the larger interest of the countries. So when you hear people sometime talking about that they have relations or they are establishing their, let me tell you very honestly, all what is going on in between the Arabs today and Israel is basically to ensure that Israel moderates its stand, because the government there is extreme right government, which is harmful, and which we can see even within coming 2 days or 3 days, the way they will destroy. But whatever destruction is there, Palestinian aspirations will not be stopped. They will continue their struggle in order to get back their land of 1967. They were trying peacefully, they could not get it. They were frustrated. So whatever happened in this Saturday, it's out of frustration. I do not accept that. I do not approve. Nobody will approve that they did a right thing, that they went inside. But out of frustration, when you put a person, under the to the wall, when you put a person to the wall, what he will do? He will try to release himself. He will try to snatch you, because now on the back is only wall, nothing else. He will try to save himself. So it's just like that. So what I want to say is that whatever the Hamas has done is not at all. And some of the cadres of Hamas, I don't know whether they were regular paramilitary forces of Hamas, could be some ordinary, Palestinian citizens who misbehave with women, who misbehave with children. That is not allowed. Islam doesn't allow that. Religion doesn't allow that. No religion of the world would allow that. That you disrespect women, that you make them naked and ask them to be on the on the streets of Gaza and anywhere. No, this is haram. This is not all. Islam doesn't allow that. But at the same time, these aspirations which they are showing is talking about their frustration. It is not advisable. A restraint is must. People realize it. Yes, you have flagged your issues. But I think a resolution has to be found. Otherwise, it is a mass punishment. Last night, what happened is that previously Israel was pinpointing buildings where it found that there were Hamas people were living. So they will announce, please go out of this building, otherwise you will destroy this building. And people will go out and they will destroy. So buildings around that very building which was targeted will remain standing as it is. But this time it is not like this. Blindly they are bombing buildings in Gaza. And as if it is there, they want to take it to primitive stage. Another thing which I want to tell you, this will not continue for long, because they have to stop. They will stop. If not today, tomorrow. They are trying to enter into Gaza. Let them enter. Let them destroy. Let them kill many people. The Palestinians are not afraid of getting killed, because they say that we are dying of hunger. What are we going to lose? But better sense should prevail, and I think the world community should come forward, stop this thing, and see to it that some kind of a solution, at least what has been agreed upon, at least what has been decided long back, that should be honored, that should be implemented. So it is typically occupier and occupation, nothing to do with Islam or anti-Muslim or Muslim is Jewish issue. It is not. Jews are also human beings. Our Islam says that they are a people of book. Muslims are not against them. And Christianity is not against them. We are not against Christianity. Muslims are not against Christianity. The only thing is that people have to live in fraternal atmosphere to accommodate each other, which they are not doing it, because they are afraid that if they will do it, they will be tomorrow subjugated. Unko dar hai, Israelis, the Jews, they feel that if they shake hand, they will be weak, because they are getting, in the name of animosity, in the name of anti-Semitism, in the name of anti-Islam, support to anti-Islam, they are getting huge money, huge finances, and huge support for their country. I think I'll stop here, and I would, leave for questions and answers. I think that should be given enough time. I hope that I have been able to give a brief about what all is happening and is the past. I'm sure that I will be able to, address your concern if you have some question. Thank you very much. No question. If there is no question, I think I must tell the students and faculty also, if they are also listening, that please always be inquisitive. Don't be shy. Don't hesitate. What all you have in your mind, always ask, because it will increase your knowledge. Rabb zidni ilma. Oh God, increase my knowledge. So it will increase knowledge. There is no need to be hesitant. Even if you are not able to speak rightly, even if you are not able to speak correctly, you can talk to me in Hindi. You can talk to me in Arabic if you want. If you are thinking that your language in English is poor, so don't hesitate. You can talk in Hindi. I do not know the Malayali language. Otherwise, I could have said that you can talk to me in Malayalam also. But you can talk to me in Hindi also. There is no harm. In Urdu also you can talk to me. In Arabic also, if you have the question, you can ask. Because some of you are from the Islamic universities or madrasa. So there is no harm. So don't hesitate that it's only English and nothing else. Yeah.
So I have heard that in Palestine there was many of planting of nutria trees. Is that truth?
Would you tell me what was that? What was the question?
Sir, I heard that the nutria that means orchid, orchid that is planting in Israel many.
Nuclear.
No, nutria tree, hello orchid.
Can anybody explain to me clearly what is the nuclear? Ah, no, I don't think. I think this is just a rumor. There are no such things. For the time being, people are not involved in that kind of a thing. I think it's a lot of rumor and lot of talks goes on in the name of Islam, Muslim, Christianity. Even Christians also they talk like this. So, but the realities are realities. That is not true. Yes, yes. Uh, Okay, I can talk about that. First of all, let me tell you the Arab countries. Later on, I will come out with the first question regarding the attack by Hamas. Arab countries are speaking. It is not that they are not speaking. Arab countries have spoken, but what they are going is that they are not denouncing, the attempts. If you see, no country except perhaps UAE, no country has denounced what Hamas has done. Like the European countries, like America, like Italy, like Germany, all the countries, umpteen countries, they have denounced it. But the Arab countries have not denounced it because this time the attack was launched by Hamas. It was not the attack was launched by Israel. That is very, very important that you have to see that it is a Israeli reaction to the action which was taken by by Hamas. So therefore, while it is a message of support that Saudi Arabia and all others have stated very clearly that all this is coming and has come only because there is no peace in that, and let us proceed for peace. We want that, that should be given priority. They have very clearly stated that, but they have not denounced Israel only because it was an attack by Hamas on Israel. They were taken aback, and they have lost a lot, no doubt about it. They have lost their first time in the history that on the very first day they lost around 300 persons. It has never happened even in 1967 war. It had never happened in 1982 war. It had not happened in 1973 war that in very first day, within 3 hours or 4 hours, 300 Israeli people were killed. And now the number has gone to 900, which could be more than 1,000. And it is more than 1,000 people, and the victims out of them are civilians also. So no Arab country will come out to say that they are doing a right thing. They have done a wrong thing by taking the civilians into them. No doubt about it. But they justify because they say that a lot of our civilians are also there. That is what is their justification. And we want to release them. That is why we have taken. So this is the narrative of the two sides. But if you see, frankly speaking, if you see that important thing is that it was Hamas which had entered into the territory. That is one. Now, why Hamas has done it? Hamas has done it only because of two reasons. First of all, there was every day or every second day there were incursions in the West Bank, and nobody was coming out to help them. Second thing was that there were a lot of issues which was coming up in Al-Aqsa Mosque, because every second day or third day these settlers were trying to enter into Al-Aqsa Mosque and desecrate the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's what the Hamas says. But the factual position is that Hamas has developed a deadly weapon of missiles. Look, in the last 15 years, these missiles, which this time Hamas has used, they were just projectiles. And in fact, when they were launching it, Hamas people were being killed more than the Israelis because these were not working properly. Slowly, they have improved it. In the last 15 years, they have improved a lot. Number two is that Israel has they call it a dome, an anti-missile dome, which they call it. Now, when Hamas last time launched around 100 missiles, Israel said 90% missiles we destroyed in the air and 10% missiles they did not explode, so nothing was there. So they studied very well that how they have to go ahead. So this was a very well-planned, well-studied strategy, which no doubt is a masterpiece in the military history. I'm not talking that it was a masterpiece of an organization. I am not talking that this was good and this was done. But in the military strategy, this was one of the masterpieces, that how they launched 5,000 first, and then they penetrated inside, and they used air also by flying there. So this actually makes Hamas a very strong organization which has come out with a narrative that you have to deal with us. You cannot just leave us aside and say that you are a terrorist organization, so we'll not talk to you. I think they have to talk to them. And if they will not talk to them, if they want to destroy them, they will be ready to be destroyed. But some other organization will come up. If not today, after 2 years, 5 years, as I said earlier. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for listening so patiently. And my best wishes to all those who participated. I hope that I was able to give some kind of a information about what all is happening, and you give me all the details about you so that in future we can have some kind of a joint program with some young students on how to work out with support and joining ahead with some organizations of youngsters only.